We're not watching other people's stories and what they're eating for breakfast and what they got for their birthday. We don't care, okay? We don't care right now. Waking up at 5 a.m. and working out for like 2 hours a day. No. And that was actually something that I didn't have to do at all. Zero. I do believe that we pick up on these things and we internalize them without even knowing that they exist in our room. Hello everyone. Oh, hold on. I'll put the steam machine on. If you've not met my steam machine before. Do you know what? Let's cleanse the space. Brilliant. Okay, so today I want to talk all about mental health. We want to talk about when we're not feeling great, when our mental health is taking a bit of a wrong turn. So I feel like we've all had those moments, whether it's a week or a month or several months, where we're just not feeling ourselves. We are so caught up in other people's business. We aren't waking up every day with the intention to live for ourselves, to be our best friend, support ourselves in what we're doing, to encourage ourselves. We're not in the right mind to fill our cups and do things during the day that will actually benefit us, help us to feel more fulfilled in our lives. I feel like that was a very long-winded explanation of what it might feel like to have your mental health kind of have a knock. Do we like the rings, by the way? I've got some pretty gold rings on today. Literally my last video was me kind of talking about where I was at. That was literally 1 week ago and I already feel like a completely different person. So I'm just gonna kind of run you through what I did and what I kind of tried to do when my mental health does take a little bit of a hit. I do want to put a slight disclaimer in here and just say that getting your mental health back on track is completely different to somebody else's version of getting their mental health back on track. We all have our kind of set point of what we feel is good mental health to us, you know, based on our own experiences of our mental health. And I think it's really important to know that this can look very different to every individual, and you don't have to be, you know, on the floor crying to feel like you need to get your mental health back on track. I literally was doing a-okay, like I was fine, you know, I was getting through the day, like actually enjoying myself, but I just knew that I wasn't quite where I wanted to be mentally, and I just found myself feeling not as great as I wanted to feel, and I knew that I could feel better than that, and I think it's important for us to just be aware of when this happens, when our mental health is, you know, what it feels like depleting, and just being really aware of that and being able to recognize it when it does happen. Before we even look at the mind, before we even think about why our mental health is bad or the reasons behind that, before we even go there, honestly, the first thing that you can do for yourself that will change this whole process of getting your mental health back on track is creating a clean and organized environment. I spoke very briefly about this in my last video, but I am such a big believer in tidy room, tidy mind. I feel like it holds a lot more power than we actually realize. Even having stuff in your drawers, which I did the other week, that you never wear, you don't like, it just irritates you when you see it because it's just taking up space. Stuff like that affects your mental health so much more than you actually think. And when you make that conscious and intentional decision to really clear out your space and make it a space where you can thrive and you can have a clear head and you can move through the day without all of these obstacles, it can really positively affect your mental health. And like I said, on the other side of it, if your room is completely and utterly a mess, you don't know where anything is, it's full of stuff that you don't care about, that you don't look at, that you don't even know is there. Like when I tidied my room, there was so many things in the room that I just didn't even know existed and I completely forgot about. And you know, you don't have to be into like spirituality to understand this or to kind of believe it, I guess, but these things that are sat in your room hold energy and they are a part of that space, you know. If they are neglected and they're not used and they're just collecting dust, that is a negative energy that's just sat in your room for no reason. I do believe that we pick up on these things and we internalize them without even knowing that they exist in our room. So as crazy as that might sound to you, try it. It can be so exhausting to feel like your mental health is really shit, but you don't know why. A lot of the times, the first thing we want to do is be like, okay, why am I feeling like this? What's happened? I don't like this, you know, really kind of getting in our head. But before we even do that, you need to make sure you have a space to do that in that is going to allow that to happen in a positive and productive way. By doing this, you are literally showing yourself through action that you care about yourself and you care about the environment that you are living in. You're showing your mind and your body and your spirit even that you do care about yourself and that you have love for yourself. As much as it's great to kind of reflect and think and ponder about our mental health and what's going on in our lives, taking inspired action is really where the magic happens. Sorry, my voice is struggling. Let's take a sip. Okay, so you have a nice tidy space, you can breathe again. So the next thing you want to do, again, you're not even going to think about your mental health. This might seem weird. You might be thinking, this doesn't make sense. I want to improve my mental health and you're telling me not to even think about my mental health. But the thing is, we need a good foundation, okay, before we even go there. So the second thing you want to do is take a social media break. I'm guessing that if you are watching this video, you probably have Instagram, you probably have other social medias like Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. Oh my God, especially TikTok. You need to delete that. We won't go into why social media isn't great for our minds and our mental health, but, you know, I'll touch on it slightly, especially with the apps where you're constantly scrolling and you're taking in so much information in such a small amount of time. Your brain is in a state of constant overload and constant overstimulation. You cannot, and I truly believe this, you cannot get your mental health back on track when that is what you are doing to your brain every single day, day in, day out. You just can't. You can't be at your prime, peaceful state when you're doing that to your mind. I'm not anti-social media. I literally have a YouTube channel. I'm not trying to say, you know, delete all of your accounts and never return. I'm literally saying for this time that we're getting our mental health back on track, that is a big thing that we need to take a little break from. There's another reason why I like to do this when my mental health isn't quite where I want it to be, and that is that in this time you really have to be selfish. Like, this time is all about you. And you have to dedicate yourself to that. It's not about what Molly's doing or what if Zach has liked your Instagram picture or if this person has messaged you or what they're up to and what have they achieved in the last few years. And no, it's not about anyone else. You have to be very selfish in this time and you have to literally have this mindset of, I don't actually care what anyone else is doing right now. And I know that might sound selfish, but it's not. This is not a time to be invested in other people's achievements and what they're up to. It's definitely not a time to be seeking validation from people by posting yourself. You really have to dedicate this time to your own life, your own achievements, your own goals, your own everyday routine. You know, we're not watching other people's stories and what they're eating for breakfast and what they got for their birthday. We don't care, okay? We don't care right now. In this time, at least, just take that break. The only people and the only people's lives you should really be concerned about right now are the people who live in your house, the people who you care about, the people in your circle, you know? Anyone else? Sorry, I'll see you soon, but it's not about you right now, it's about me. Okay, so now you have your Zen space and now you have deleted social media and you've grounded yourself back down to planet Earth. Now we want to show our mind and our body that we care about ourselves, okay? You need to move. You need to move your body, okay? We have the ability to trigger hormones and chemicals in our brain that can literally change the way that we feel. So you need to utilize that. You need to get your yoga mat out and just move your body, okay? You can do these things in such small steps. You could do 5 minutes of yoga in the morning. That could be the time that you dedicate towards this. Somebody else might feel like, oh, I can dedicate 30 minutes to yoga in the morning. It all depends on where you're at and how much you think you can endure at that time. I'm not someone who kind of condones like completely disregarding where you're at mentally and just pushing through, you know, go, waking up at 5 a.m. and working out for like 2 hours a day. No. If you want to do that, you can do that. You don't have to do that to have good mental health, you know? I think it's all very, very individual, and you need to allow that to be known to yourself. You need to let yourself do 5 minutes of yoga if that's where you're at, you know? You need to pick your battles, is what I'm trying to say, you know? Deal with what you can deal with. All that matters here with your mental health, all that matters is that you are taking small incremental steps. It doesn't have to be this, okay, my mental health is shit, so I'm going to change my entire life. Just take the steps. That's all you have to focus on, you know? We get very overwhelmed sometimes with this, and we think, okay, I need to do this, I need to change my diet, I need to get this amount of sleep. Stop overwhelming yourself and just take the tiny steps towards it. Okay, so now we've done all of those little things, we can actually start to think about our mental health, and we can start thinking, what's going on? This is when you want to maybe get your journal out. If you prefer just to talk to yourself out loud or just think in your head, that's absolutely fine as well. I do find that it's quite useful though to get it out of your head and onto paper. That's just me though, that's just my personal way of processing things. But you can even like do voice notes. I used to walk home from work and just voice note to myself and just have a rant, basically have like a therapy session with myself on voice notes. I wouldn't actually listen to it back, so it was kind of just like wasting space in my phone, but it worked for me, okay? But yeah, this is your time to mentally take note of what is burning you out. Why have you got to this point of not feeling good about yourself? Why do you feel the need to improve your mental health right now? And what is causing this mental fatigue? What is the issue? What's the problem? Okay, you don't have to figure out the root cause of this thing, or, you know, figure out the why and the how. All you have to do is think about what is not working for you right now and just write that down. You know, start that process, start that mental process of reflecting on your life and your mind and what maybe isn't serving you right now. So for example, I was noticing that I was very focused on other people's perceptions of me and their opinions, and kind of, you know, all of my thoughts kind of correlated around, well, what would this person think? Or I wonder how they perceive this, and that was what was mentally burning me out, and that was what was emotionally draining me, is that I was just so invested and so involved in other people and their perception of me, and that was actually something that I didn't have to do at all. Zero. When those thoughts do come in, I'm kind of like, okay, you know, become an observer of your thoughts rather than associating yourself with your thoughts. They're not you. We'll do a completely different video about that probably, but so just take note of what's not working for you right now and start that mental process of self-reflection. Okay, so that's pretty much it. The last thing I want to say is be patient with yourself and watch the butterfly effect happen, because again, this is so powerful. The more tiny incremental steps you take towards becoming the person that you want to be and becoming somebody who loves themselves and puts themselves first, the more you are going to find yourself making choices that align with that. So for example, I started waking up a bit earlier to do some yoga before I went to work, and then I just naturally started drinking water more. Now I've created a new habit of drinking more water without even consciously making that decision. All of these small steps you'll start to realize that you are naturally more inclined to choose that and align with that way of life. So once you take that initial step, the effort to improve your mental health actually can become less, because it becomes more natural to make these decisions and to fall into these patterns. So yeah, that's it really, guys. I really hope that you did find this useful. Please let me know if this works for anyone, and let me know in the comments down below what sorts of videos you want to see in the future, and I will be sure to consider your requests. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it and you're not yet subscribed, what are you doing? You better get to it and subscribe if you want to come back, and I will see you next week for a brand new video. Okay, I am gonna go now. The steam machine is steaming. Okay, bye!